Welcome back to Hiking with Kathleen. So today I want to take a little bit of time to show you the techniques I use for finding wildlife. Sometimes it's a matter of finding them when they're at the resting spot, like a coyote I saw just this morning. Another was white-tailed deer. Sometimes you get the feeling something's watching you, and you know what? You're probably right. Let me show you how to find wildlife. So I'm extremely excited as I have spotted this coyote lying down well off the trail of the one that I'm on right now. And it is in a position of having great visuals of the animals that are walking along this trail. And I didn't say anything. There was a woman who had two off-leash dogs, one which was very fox-like in appearance, and the other one was a little bit bigger. And the coyote sat there and watched as the two of them walked along. It knows what's going on in its territory. It just found a fairly well concealed, off the beaten trail place for it to hide out and watch. And I've shown you in another video where a coyote was actually honing in on a dog that was barking along a trail. And I don't know how close that coyote got because I was quite a distance away and I didn't have a chance to see what was going on the other side of the shrubbery, the bushes. So anyway, just so you know, the coyotes are always watching and they're always guarding their territory. Sometimes my best way of finding a coyote is by watching or staying behind a person who has an off-leash dog, because the coyote may in fact want to escort it out of the territory, as I've heard dog owners say they've had that experience. One of the techniques that I use in order to find wildlife is I just do a lot of this. I stand still. I stand still, I listen for the sound of breaking branches. If it's a bird, I listen for the bird's song or the call. Vocalizations by any animal, really. And most importantly, I watch for movement. So if I see movement, my attention is drawn to it. I bring my binoculars so I can put them to my eyes and have a closer look to see if the movement is something, maybe a squirrel, something that's common to be seen around here, or something a little bit more interesting. If I were to walk through the woods at a fairly good clip, I wouldn't see very much at all. So I don't mind putting in the time, and this is my immersive experience where I just stand still from time to time, listen, watch, and see if there's a break in the pattern. So if I'm seeing greenery, and then there's a dark spot, that's how I found the coyote. I found a dark spot. I had a closer look without my binoculars, and I saw it shaking its head. Well, there were bugs out and it was lying down. So I saw the movement after I saw the break in the pattern, and then I was able to use the binoculars and my telephoto lens in order to zoom in on it. So that's my enjoyment, is being able to see wildlife doing their natural thing. And I just happened to get exercise along the way. So primarily, I guess I came out into the woods to get exercise, but also to be immersed in nature. And then I came to realize, wow, I can get some amazing shots by sitting still from time to time. So. So one of the things I wanted to cover off in this video is I'm now just starting to see poison ivy. And poison ivy is a commonly found plant throughout Ontario and beyond. I'm going to show you a couple of features to help you to look for it. There's a lot of it right around here on the ground beneath this tree, but there's also poison ivy vine. It grows along the sides of, it grows up the tree, but there's other plants that also exist in a vine form. So I'll help you to distinguish poison ivy so that you can recognize it. And it's actually because of its irregularities that it makes it a little bit easier to recognize. But if you are allergic to the liquid that's found inside the leaves, the roots, the stem, the berries, that's where you can end up having an allergic reaction in the form of a rash or blisters, depending on how allergic you are. So I'll point out some of those things for you to help you to steer clear of that this summer. So what I'm doing is I'm pointing out a good example of poison ivy here. It has 1, 2, 3 leaflets. So those 3 together make up 1 leaf. This stem is holding up 3 leaflets. Likewise, the next one over, again, it has 3 leaflets. So each one of these is what we call a compound leaf. So we have every one of them on this plant, unless one is plucked off and is missing, will have 3 leaflets. That's one way to recognize it. But then we don't want to be confused with other plants that are beautiful and have 3 leaves as well. So besides having 3 leaflets, let's have a look and see if each one is reliably similar to the other 2. Notice it has teeth, but it can also have a smooth edge. Well, most plants are pretty uniform. They either have teeth, and they tend to have the same number of teeth, but poison ivy isn't quite designed that way. Now let's look at the 3rd leaflet and see how it is compared to the other 2. The thing you can see is that poison ivy, if you were to fold the leaf in half, it's not a mirror image of one another. So it's that irregularity that helps you to recognize this as a poison ivy plant. Here's the last thing I'm going to point out. The 2 leaflets that are across from one another have very short stems. The one in the center has an extra long stem. Okay, so that's a 3rd defining feature. So there's your tip to help you to avoid stepping through poison ivy this summer. Well, thanks for spending the time with me on today's episode of Hiking with Kathleen. I want to say that I'm delighted when I have individuals come up and say hello to me when they see me out on the hiking trail. I just had that experience with a couple of women, Joan and Debbie. And the kind of hiking that they enjoy is mindful hiking, where you go along the trail, you don't have earbuds in. What you're doing is you're listening to the bird song, the sound of the wind, the sound of the rushing water. And that's exactly the kind of hiking that I like to do here on Hiking with Kathleen. And actually the other day when we were in Rondeau Provincial Park, we were approached by a woman named Carol. She was there with her dog. Her husband wasn't with her at that moment, but they watch the episodes of Hiking with Kathleen. So thank you so much for letting me know that you have welcomed me into your home each week with Hiking with Kathleen. That is something that I'm delighted to know, and I welcome anybody to come up and say hello. So for now, I wish you well, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday morning on YouTube for another episode of Hiking with Kathleen. Bye for now.